Hi guys and welcome back. In this video we're going to learn about while loops. Loops in programming are used to repeat things a number of times. And there are two types of loops in Python. We've got while loops and we've got for loops. In this video we'll learn about while loops. Let's start with a simple boolean. We will have a variable called isLearning and we will make it equal to true. So at the moment we are learning. So we can type while is_learning, print your learning. So this is our first while loop. What we've got here is the while keyword, and then very much like an if statement, we have a boolean. And this can be a variable such as isLearning, which is true. It can be a comparison, it can be a number or anything else. Then we have the colon, which just like in the if statement signals the start of the body. And the body comes underneath that and is always indented with usually 4 spaces. And then we have the print statement. Again, just like the if statement, you can put multiple things in the body as long as they're all indented, and you can unindent a line in order to signal the end of the while loop. I must say at this point that if you just leave it like this, that's totally fine. Python knows that you've reached the end of the file, so that also terminates the while loop. But if you do want to add something else, you can do, as long as it's unindented. Now, what will happen if we run this while loop is something maybe unexpected. The while loop repeats this code in the body for as long as this condition is true. So, for how long will this condition be true? Well, here's the thing. This condition never changes. It's always true because we don't set it to anything else anywhere else. So if we run this, you will see that we're learning a lot, and we maybe don't want to do that. We do want to take a break every now and then. And you'll see that we've printed a lot of these "you're learning," which is good. But what if we only wanted to run this a certain amount of times? Say, until the user told us that they're no longer learning. Well, in order to do that, in order to stop this loop from running at some point, we have to set isLearning to false. So if we do that like this, isLearning equal false, here's what will happen. We will start the loop. isLearning is true, so we will run it at least once. We will print that you're learning, and then we will set isLearning to false. Then we go back to the top, and we will evaluate this again. Now we will check if it's true again. But it's not, it's false, so it will stop. And it will continue from after the while loop onwards. If it were true, it would just repeat over and over as you've seen. But because we set it to false the first time that we run it, it only runs once. Just like that. So what we'll do is instead, we will ask the user whether they're learning. We will say input, are you still learning? And we will run this. So now we'll see that you're learning at least once because isLearning is true initially, and then we ask the user whether they're still learning. Now, what do we have to type here in order to continue the loop? Well, anything will go, such as yes. That is because now isLearning is no longer true. Now isLearning is the string yes that we've typed. And if you remember from our if statements video, this gets passed through the bool function, and it evaluates to true when it's yes. The boolean of yes is true. But if we type an empty string, then the loop ends because we have terminated the loop. So maybe this is not what we want. Maybe what we want is to get some user input, and then say that isLearning is equal to user input equal yes. And what happens here is that first of all we store the user's input into its own variable, and then we compare it with the string yes. If they are the same, then this will be true, and if they are not the same, then it will be false. And we put that into isLearning. So now only if we type yes will the loop continue. Otherwise, if we type no, for example, the loop will end. This here is a very common way of doing user menus or running applications where users can repeat something multiple times. Here's an example of one such menu. The first thing we do in this program is we get the user's input and we ask them if they wish to run the program. Then we have our while loop, which checks that the user input variable is equal to yes. If it is, we will start the loop and we print that we're running. Then we ask for the user input again, exactly the same thing. And after that, we will go back to the start of the while loop and we will compare user input, which now has the new value, against yes. If they're still the same, then we run again and we ask again, and so on. This is how you can repeat a piece of code many times until a user tells you to stop. So when would you want to use a while loop? When you want to repeat something an undefined number of times. For example, until a user tells you to stop. You don't know how many times you're going to repeat it. You depend on the user's input. The for loop, on the other hand, will be used to repeat something a defined number of times. Let's learn about that in the next video. I'll see you there.